good afternoon, everybody. Congratulations. So when I got dressed today, when I was getting dressed today, I started laughing to myself because I remembered a story that I haven't ever shared with anybody. I was at a peer conference, or maybe it was a quick Q&A, but I actually had somebody walk up to me and say, "My gosh, you look just like Howie the Harp." And I remember thinking to myself, is it the hair? Is it the glasses? But what I do definitely remember was going, wow. Because how many people get to have somebody say that they look like one of their heroes, right? I mean, you know, wouldn't you love to have somebody say to you, "You look just like Malcolm X," or you look, you look like Martin Luther King. Well, that's how I felt when they said that. And I'll be honest, it could be too that maybe the only other person I'd ever been compared to was Breitbart Steve Bannon. And when I tell you that it was definitely a motivational step in the left direction, it definitely made me happy. So you graduated, and when I was recently asked to sort of re-envision my comments for today, I was going to talk about Brain Food Garden Project. I had been asked to talk about Brain Food Garden Project and how my time at HTH informed my work with Brain Food Garden Project. But today isn't about Brain Food Garden Project. It's about you guys. It's about the fact that you got through 6 months of intense training and you went through a 3 to 6 month internship. And so I'm not going to talk about Brain Food Garden Project so much. I'm going to talk about, I wanted to see what I could say to you that, that might have some impact as you go out into the field. Because some of you probably have jobs already. Some of you are certainly on your way to getting jobs. And so I was like, what can I say? And so what I decided to do was to talk about one of the challenges I faced when I was out in the field. When I got out into the field, I got out into the community. And one of the things that I didn't have a name for it at the time, and it doesn't happen right away when you first start the job, right? Because, I remember when I was putting this together, I was thinking about how joyful I was after graduation, and how excited I was, and how green I was, and I couldn't wait to get started and get out there. And so what I learned to call this, it didn't happen overnight. It took maybe 3 or 4 months into it. And I'll tell you the other reason why that is, because when you come out of Howie, you have these wings, right? And you have these huge wings, and you're flying right toward the sun. You're so empowered. But it's not like Icarus. It's different than Icarus, because you also have these massive tool belts that you have all these wellness tools. So it kind of like levels you out and kind of grounds you. And so you're able to get to work every day, and you're motivated and you're excited. But about 2 or 3 months in, you start to notice things. You start to maybe for me it was the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. You start to realize that the system that you're now entering into isn't person-centered as much as it should be, or as much as we learn it should be and we feel it should be. And eventually I got around to calling this the status quo vortex. And if you're not really careful, it is so easy for you to just get sucked right into it. And it starts in little ways, right? It doesn't start glaring and big. It can be hearing some of your colleagues talking about a peer like they're not human. And that one was pretty big to me, actually. It wasn't really a small thing, but it grows. It grows to you being asked to do things like, take pictures of people's peers' apartments, because they're not clean enough. And you start to go, wow, I don't feel comfortable doing that. But you're a team player, right? You want to be a team player. You want to be everything that you can be. And so you start to feel yourself getting pulled toward it. Now, I have to say that we working peers are not exempt from that. you know, you get out there with your tool belt, heavy with wellness tools, and you start working with peers that have been in the system, working in the system 2-3 years, and you realize, and again, in small ways, the peer they've been assigned to work with, they call them a client. You overhear a conversation with a peer and they're not listening, they're telling them what to do or how to do it. So you see this happening, and then you're like, you see them being sucked into the vortex, and you want to reach out and save them, but as peers, we don't save people, right? You got to learn all of this on your own. So it's very, very scary to feel like you could get sucked into that vortex. Out of all the peers that I worked with, I never once had to use sitting in my own discomfort, which is one of the big things we learn at Howie. Never had to use it. You know where that tool became invaluable? Working with my colleagues, working within the system. I had to sit with my own discomfort a lot. So hold that one close. But I will say that Howie gave me all of the foundations that I needed to find my own answers sometimes, and also to create my own path forward. And that is one of the greatest gifts that Howie has probably given me. I know I've only got 6 minutes, and I could have spent that entire 6 minutes just thanking Lene at the very beginning of this for all of her amazing support through the years, but I know she would never have spoken to me again. But I would, I can't tell you how you're gonna, as peers, we don't tell each other how to do things, right? That's not what we're about. So I don't have any direct answers for you as to how you can circumvent or try to manage these situations once you're in them. But I will tell you what I've done for myself. Whether I am creating a new partnership for Brain Food Garden Project, whether I am hiring peers, which I'm hoping Brain Food Garden Project is going to be able to hire our first peers in the coming new year, or whether it's even selecting my next agency or program to work for. And I'm very excited to say today that I just did get hired to work part-time for the Arts Mural Project. Thank you. And it's an amazing project. And you know what? When I went in for that interview, I used these things that I'm about to tell you about. You know what did it for me? Creating boundaries. Creating my own boundaries is what helped me to navigate all of that. All of those things I just talked about. And I created 4. I spent some time really thinking about it, contemplating it. And the 4 boundaries that I created, and when I went in for that job interview, I took these into that job interview with me, and I went in knowing that if they didn't meet all 4 of this criteria, I wasn't going to take the job. The first one is passionate, compassionate vision. Self-explanatory. I don't think that needs any explanation. The second is community first, and for me what that one means is letting go of ego. We have to be able to let go of ego in our community. It's tough sometimes. The third one is getting it done together. And what that means for me is a willingness to act, because as all of you know who sit on committee meetings sometimes in our community, we go through an entire meeting and the only thing we've decided is what we're going to discuss in our next meeting. So being willing to act. And also the second part of that, the together part, is understanding the importance of collaboration. And then the fourth one is lived experience and peer principles always informs the work. Always informs the work. Every day I get up and I think about Brain Food Garden Project, which is my passion, and I would have loved to have come here and talked to you about it today, but you can go to the website if you're interested. Everything I do in my work has to have those 2 things. It's got to be peer informed, and I have got to use all of those peer principles that Howie instilled in me. I want to wish all of you so much success and joy as you go out into the field to pursue this new work. I thank you, Lene, for having me here today, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, because we're getting close to that. Bye.
Good afternoon, everyone.